Hey everyone, this video is about how to use VAs for email management and customer service. It's completely possible to fully delegate to a talented VA all of the emails that you would normally manage for your business that are undoubtedly consuming a lot of your time. I would bet that most people watching this video are spending a minimum of 10 hours a week, if not more, just managing emails. That's a huge amount of time. In contrast, just by way of reference and to give you a sense about what's possible here, which I'm going to show you, I currently co-run 3 different businesses and I spend less than 20 minutes a week managing emails, which is less than 10 minutes per week per business. So how do I do it? How can you do it? This gets back to video number 1, where if you remember, I mentioned that you should be focusing as a business owner your time on the high level things that only you are able to do. And then you should be delegating everything else that someone else can do. And that this is at the heart both of freeing up your time so you're not spending your week doing busy work, but also scaling up your business. So of course, email management is super important. You want to make sure that you do it right. It's at the heart of your, if it's not the primary communication channel with clients and leads, it's certainly very high up there. So making sure that you're communicating via email through a VA in a way that's effective and mirrors what you would say and how you would handle situations is obviously extremely important. So in this video, I'm going to talk to you about how to delegate the emails for your business in a step-by-step fashion. This is exactly how we do it. And one thing to keep in mind is that you're not going to be able to delegate all your emails, say in 30 minutes or in an hour. This is a process, and I'll talk with you about what this process looks like. But there's a number of things that you can do, which I'll show you in this video, that'll allow you to delegate about 80% of your emails in a very short space of time. So ultimately, if you're able to delegate your emails to a VA, you can save hundreds, if not thousands of hours. So it's the next frontier in terms of delegation for any business owner. Is if you can do this correctly, you free up a huge amount of your time and open up a lot of possibilities. So step number 1 is to go through your inbox and identify the main questions/areas around which you receive emails. So literally going through emails and starting to write down, what are the things that people are asking me about? What are the things that I need to respond to on a day-to-day basis? I'm going to take the hypothetical example of an e-commerce company. And let's imagine that I've now spent a few hours going through the inbox of my e-commerce company and writing down what people are emailing my company about. There's going to be a lot of different things, of course, but what you'll find for whatever your business is in most cases is that generally speaking, 80% of the emails you receive are about a pretty small set of topics. So in the case of e-commerce, for instance, 80% of the emails we receive are, say, around 8 to 10 questions. I'm going to flip over here and show you on my screen what these questions might be, and then I'm going to talk with you through what the process is in terms of turning these inquiries into a templated process that your VA can use to actually respond to emails, to respond to inquiries of this kind. Okay, so here we are. I've created a Google document. I've called it Email Templates, SOPs, or Standard Operating Procedures. And then, as I mentioned, what I've done is I've gone through the inbox of my business and I've just looked through 100, 200 emails that I receive and said, okay, what are the main areas in which people are asking questions? Like, what are the things that I'm responding to over and over and over again? So in this hypothetical example, our business is an e-commerce company. And what I've identified is that, okay, well, there are plenty of different questions. There's a lot of different questions. Really, and again, I think this is common in most businesses, 80% of questions are quite a small number. So in the case of the e-commerce company, I've written down, okay, the question number 1 that is repeated over and over again. And again, it's not exactly written exactly this way, but question number 1 is, where is my order? Someone ordered, they're trying to check on the tracking, et cetera, et cetera. Question number 2, my product hasn't arrived. So it's an inquiry about the product not arriving. And then here are the other ones. My product is broken. I want to return the product. I don't like the product. What are my options? Can I get a discount on my next order? How quickly do you ship? I can't find my order confirmation email. Okay, so those are the 8 topics, and you can have a few more than 8 or a few less than 8, but this is just to give you a sense of what are the relatively small number of areas around which you're getting questions, around which you're responding to emails. Okay, so that's step 1, is to identify those questions that comprise most of the email communications you receive. Okay, so we've now done that. That's step 1. Step 2 is to write up a template for each of these situations. Now, what you will have already found managing a business, I'm sure, is that you tend to write the same thing over and over and over again, right? So in various different arrangements and orders, but why not just have a templated email for handling similar situations? So instead of having to rewrite every time you get an email, say for your e-commerce company asking where your order is, instead of having to rewrite an email every time, you just have a template that you can use over and over and over again. So we're going to go ahead and either write that template for each of these situations, or what's easier is we could go back into the inbox and look at emails we've already sent and just use those as the template, right? So we go back. So I would go into the inbox of the e-commerce company and I'd find a couple of emails where I responded to some version of this question. I would look at those emails and say, okay, which of these could be a template that I like? Which of these is the most well written? And then I would copy and paste it here below. So for instance, hi, something, best, name, right? Okay, so that's kind of template number 1 here. And then you would do the exact same thing with all of the other main questions here in this document. So you would write up a template or find something you've already written in your inbox, and then you would include it here. Okay, so that's step number 2. Okay, so what you're starting to do there is you're starting to develop an SOPs document for a VA that they can reference when they're managing your emails. So in that SOPs document, you will have all of the main email management related scenarios. Customer asks about this, customer asks about why, customer follows up and says this, customer follows up and says why. And you're documenting what are all those scenarios, and then you're starting to fill in, okay, what is the response here that we want to use? What is the template, et cetera? So step 3 is to train your VA to identify which template to use. So get them on a Skype or a Zoom call and start going through your inbox together. Okay, take a look at this email. Good. Which template would you choose here? Have them study the SOPs document that you're developing so that when you have these calls, they'll already have a sense about, okay, here are the main situations that I'm looking for in the inbox and which I should know how to handle, right? So do a couple of training sessions where you're sharing your screen as you go through the inbox and you're showing them which templates you'd use in each situation. Then after a couple of training sessions, again on Zoom or Skype or a video platform like this, ask them to share their screen once you're pretty confident that they understand what you're doing in the inbox. They understand the SOPs document. So you have them share their screen and manage emails, and you can kind of see how they're doing and what questions they have, and you can watch them during this process. Now, obviously, your SOPs document can and should get more complex, right? You'll have a lot more scenarios in here than the 8 that I have in the document that I just showed. You'll also have different procedures that you'll want to add on. So maybe when someone asks about X, the VA should send Y template, but also notify you on Slack. There's all sorts of different procedures that you might want to develop in different circumstances. So you can have the templates in your SOPs document, but then below it, you can add in additional procedures that you want the VA to follow. So for instance, I'm thinking in the context of the e-commerce business, okay, someone emails and says that they're not happy with the order and that they're going to file a chargeback. Okay, well, so then we would respond with this template And then below that in your SOPs document, you would have a section, you would have a line saying additional procedures, for instance, that says, if this occurs, also do the following, notify you, the business owner, or collect certain documentation so that that documentation can be submitted as a response to the chargeback, et cetera, et cetera. So this is how you do it. The point of starting with those 80% of most common cases, and to step back, remember, step one is to go into your inbox and identify what are the questions and the inquiries and the email communications around or for which you're responding that comprise 80% of the emails, right? So the point of starting there is just, it allows you to get a huge amount of your work off your plate quite quickly, right? So if you could delegate that basically what we're saying is that you're delegating 80% of your email management related work right there. Now, obviously the holy grail is to say, how can we get it to 99%? And that's the part that takes a little bit more time. That's the part where over time you're developing standard templates and procedures for that last 20% of cases that are a little more complicated or a little more rare, et cetera, but it's totally possible to get there. Those last 20% of cases do take a little bit more time, but don't start there. Start with the 80% of cases that are most common, and then work out a system with your VA whereby they're letting you know, hey, a couple new emails came in that comprise situations that aren't in the SOPs document. I've added them to the bottom so you can write up a template and any other additional procedures so that in the future, I'll know how to manage these. Okay, so that's the process. That's how we do it. Hope this has been helpful. It's relatively basic. You're following 3 different steps to get to this point of email liberation. It's totally possible. It takes a little bit of work, but that investment of time is absolutely worth it. So encourage you to give this a try and let us know how it goes.